I'm Victoria and this is What Victoria Read. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. So I thought today I would just sit down and have a little bit of a catch up with you guys, kind of reintroduce myself because the channel's had a little bit of a growth spurt recently, for which I'm very grateful. So thank you if you're just joining us. Thank you also if you've been here from the beginning or for ages. I appreciate every single one of you. But it felt like I needed to kind of like sit down and just have a bit of a chat, a catch up. I've got a few Q&A questions that you guys have asked, which I will obviously answer. And then I want to talk about some stuff that's going to be happening on the channel towards the end of the year that I'm very excited about. So first of all, hello, hi, welcome, come on in. I'm Victoria, this is my corner of the internet. I am in my mid-30s and I live in the UK. I live in the southwest, sort of near like Bath and Bristol. There are kind of biggest cities. I live here with my husband Gary. We've been married for 5 years. We also have our son Charlie, who is 13, and we have our 3 cats. I'm very protective of Charlie's privacy, so he doesn't appear on the channel or on my public social media, but he was my first ever subscriber 5 years ago, which is one of my favourite things. I'm also pretty sure he doesn't watch any of these videos because it's not the kind of thing he'd be interested in, but Charlie, in case you are watching, hello and hi. And then we have our 3 cats, and yes, all 3 of them are black cats, which was not something we planned. It just happened. So 5 years ago we adopted Jack, who is our short-haired brindle cat. So he's black with brown stripes, which you can only see in certain lights. And he is our kind of grumpy old man cat, really. He's very soft and cuddly. He's a complete mummy's boy. But he's very rigid in his routine. He does unfortunately have dementia, so we are managing that with him at the moment. At the time of filming this, he's in a fairly like placid place, but he just doesn't deal very well with change, and he can get a little bit confused sometimes, but he's mostly okay at the moment. Then 18 months ago, we adopted our pocket rocket Molly. She is the smallest of the 3. She's the cutest of the 3, as you can see from the picture that I would have put here. But she's also a complete psychopath and serial killer. So she kind of looks like a Disney cat with her big eyes, and she's really small. She's full grown, but most people think that she's a kitten because she is very little. She's very small. But yeah, she likes to bring things in that she has killed for us and present them. So there's that. And then almost a year ago, we got her on my birthday last year, which at the time of filming is about 3 weeks away. We adopted our Hurricane, which is our sweet Savannah. She is very loud, she's very vocal, she does everything at 100 miles an hour, but she's also super affectionate. She also loves to come and have cuddles. She just makes us laugh all the time. So those are our 3 cats. At the time of filming this, my channel only contains Jack, but that might be something that's changing. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But yeah, they are our 3 fur babies, and they usually interrupt my videos. Today, at the time of filming, they all happen to be sound asleep, so I've shut them out of the lounge where I'm filming, but it's quite rare for a sit-down video of mine not to be interrupted by one or all 3 of them, and they also feature very, very heavily in my vlogs. So yeah, you'll definitely see them. If you're here for long enough, you will definitely see them. So that's all of that. I do have a little like scrawled list of things I wanted to talk about. So my Booktube channel is coming up to 5 years old. It'll be 5 years old in November, which is a bit of a crazy milestone, like half a decade, feels like a long time. I started my channel in 2018, having watched Booktube for probably a year, 18 months, 2 years before that. And just one day I just thought, I'm gonna sit down and give this a go. I've always been a huge reader, an avid reader. Reading and books are a really important part of my life. And I just thought, you know what, this looks fun, I'm gonna give it a go. And I'd kind of been, oh sorry, evidence of my cats. Pretty sure I've got a cat hair on my nose. I've been like online for a long time. Just to give you an idea of my age, I was one of the beta users for Facebook. And I'd had vlogs and like MySpace and all the rest of it for years. So I've been online for a long time. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to sit down and give this a go. So I filmed a very poorly framed, poorly lit first video in our bedroom, sat on our bed. I'll link it in the description. A lot of people like private their first videos, but I actually think it's kind of nice to look back on, and hopefully I've improved a bit since then. And I did a reading wrap up, so I'll link that in the description if you want to see baby What Victoria Read. But yeah, the channel's coming up to 5 years, which, like I said, is a crazy milestone. I have met so many incredible people and friends along the way, and I've done so many fun things. And one of the things that I love most about my channel is being able to come back to it myself and re-watch stuff and see all those experiences and things that have happened and books I've read and all that kind of stuff. It's just so lovely. It kind of feels like my own kind of private time capsule, with the added bonus that I get to chat to you guys about it as well. So channel's coming up to 5 years. I'm also super active on Instagram, particularly in the stories. I try and post on the grid regularly, which is easy when it's school holidays, but the rest of the, like during term time, I can be a bit patchy. But I am very active in stories and posting what I'm up to. So if you're interested in more of my shenanigans, you can see me there. I am also on Twitter. I refuse to call it X. No. Which I use mostly just to like repost stuff that I think is interesting or funny or whatever. So I'm fairly active there as well. I don't have TikTok. I don't have the time for another social media. I also feel like I personally am maybe a bit old for TikTok, and also I don't want to bump into any of my students and I'm most likely to bump into them there, I feel like, on TikTok. So I don't do TikTok, but Twitter and Instagram I'm very much active on. They are always linked in the description of my videos, so you can come and see me there if you want more of my nonsense. That is where I will be. So I thought I would show you my favourite reads of the year so far as well, just to give an idea of like what I read, because I read a bit of everything. I don't read high fantasy, except one of these books is technically a high fantasy, or sci-fi. Don't really read those things, but most other stuff I will pick up and read. One of the questions that I got, one of the suggestions I got, was to talk about a book from each, favourite book from each genre, which I might do as a separate video because I really like the idea of that, but for just kind of, I want this to not be like an hour long. So I thought I would show you my favourite reads of the year so far, because on my bookshelves, and I'll put last year's bookshelf tour in the description as well. I should probably update that at some point, but at the moment I'm keeping my favourite reads of the year in a separate stack on top of my bookshelf, mostly because I'm running out of space and this was just a nice way to display some books. But I thought I would show you. So let's pick this stack up. It's quite heavy because a lot of these are hardbacks. So these are my current favourite reads of the year. So I pick, let's put this down for a second. I pick at the end of each month, I pick my favourite read of that month. And that makes it really simple and straightforward for me. When it comes to the end of the year and we're doing favourite reads of the year, I've already got my list populated, because I'm like, my favourite for January was this was February, etc, etc. One thing I'm going to try and do this year is actually choose a favourite read of the year out of the stack that I've accumulated, and that will be a bit trickier. These are not in any particular order, this is just how they are currently displayed on the bookcase. So we've got Babel by R.F. Kuang, Her Majesty's Royal Coven, Her Majesty's Royal Coven? Yes, by Gina Dawson. I don't know why my brain started over that. You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Kweki Emeze, Other Women by Emma Flint, Cultish, The Language of Fanaticism by Amanda Montell, A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon by Sarah Hawley, and Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldry. That's the one that's a fantasy. I mean, technically, I guess Witch's Guide would also come under fantasy. So we've got a cozy high fantasy, a romantic low fantasy, I don't know, modern fantasy, contemporary fantasy. You can see it's not my genre. A non-fiction about language, literary fiction, Her Majesty's Royal Coven. I'm not sure how to categorize that because it's not really literary fiction either. Again, another kind of fantasy base. And then Babel is dark academia. So yeah, that's my current stack of my favorite reads of the year so far. We'll obviously see what else comes up through the final 5 months of the year, because unbelievably it's August. So that is what I've currently got in my stack, and like I said, we'll see what else I pick up along the way. So I read a whole range of things. I read literary fiction, non-fiction, middle grade, young adult, a little bit. I have to be quite specific with my middle grade these days, with my YA these days. General fiction, contemporary fiction, a little bit of romance. All of the books that you see behind me, I gave 4 or 5 stars, and I intend to reread at some point, and that's kind of the criteria for it to stay on my shelves. And that's kind of me, really. Read a bit of everything. In terms of content and what I post, so I do my reading wrap-ups as a vlog. So at the end of each month I post the vlog, or sorry, at the start of each month I post the vlog for the month before. They are usually long videos, and I get that they can be kind of intimidating for people to watch, but if you want to get my kind of live reaction to my books as I'm reading, those are the videos to watch. I started off doing the kind of traditional sit down wrap up that a lot of people on Booktube do, but it wasn't really working for me because I tend to read between sort of 10 and 15 books a month is pretty normal for me. It's August as I'm filming. I'll probably read more than that because I'm on holiday this month, and so I was finding it difficult to really give my in-depth thoughts and feelings on each book if I was only doing a sit down wrap up video. So I started vlogging it, and kind of every time I finish a book I sit down and I give my fresh thoughts, and that's worked a lot better for me. I also intersperse those clips with b-roll of my life, so like I said, that's where you'll see the cats and what I'm up to and food stuff and places I've been and all that kind of stuff. The occasional shot of my husband. Like I said, I'm very protective of Charlie's privacy, so he doesn't pop up there, but he is often there. You guys just don't see him. So those are my monthly wrap-ups, and like I said, I know they're long, but I feel like the point of my channel mostly is to give book reviews, and that was the best way for me to do it. So that is how we do that. I also do tags, chatty videos like these. Occasionally I'll do a TBR. I used to do monthly TBRs, and I want to do a video at some point, probably towards the end of the year, kind of looking at how not having a TBR has really benefited my reading. So like a monthly TBR. I did do a seasonal one, which I'll link in the description, my summer one, if you want to see that. And all of those kind of traditional kind of Booktube videos, really. I post one video a week on Sunday at 9 AM, either BST or GMT, depending on like where we are in the year. And I have done that pretty consistently for the last 5 years. I do occasionally have to take breaks, but that's usually just when I don't have the time or energy to film, because life just gets overwhelming, and that kind of just is what it is. But I try and get a video up every single week at 9 AM. I also do occasional live shows. I enjoy doing live shows, either for a specific book. So we did Sister Along at the start of the year, so I have live shows where I talk to my co-hosts about each of those 3 books, and again I'll link that in the description in case you're interested. But I also do occasional kind of reading sprints or productivity sprints, especially when I'm in the depths of marking. I found it really lovely and actually really helpful to sprint with you guys as I'm working, because it means that I can do like 45 minutes, stop for a chat for 10 minutes, and then do another 45 minutes and kind of keep going through the day. So yeah, look out for those. There won't be any coming up because I'm on summer break. At the time this goes up, this is going up the day after that, but I'm currently taking part in the Amazing Readathon, which has been masterminded by the incredible Brianna at Four Paws in a Book, and I'm taking part in the 48-hour live sprints, but that my section of that will have already been up, so I'll link that as well in the description, and I'll also link Brianna's channel so you can see what's going on, because we are, I think today's the 5th, so 5 days into the readathon, and it has been incredible so far. So if you want to come and join us, I would highly recommend it. Obviously if you're watching this like after August 2023, then you won't be able to take part. Speaking of cats interrupting, so we just got interrupted by Savannah hammering at the lounge door. She was not very happy there was a closed door. So I've now got her in the room with me. You may or may not see her, but if you can hear background noise, that's Sav, so apologies. Okay, so let's have a little look at my questions, my list of stuff I want to talk about. Okay, so the final thing before we get into like the Q&A that you guys have asked, the questions that you guys have asked, and future plans for the channel. I just want to mention that this is a charity channel, so it is in the like about me section of YouTube, but I don't know how often people actually look there, and I do mention it on my social media now and again. But this is a charity channel, so my channel got monetized 2 years ago, which means that every single view that you guys give, as long as you're watching with the ads on, generates a tiny bit of money, and we're literally talking like point something of a pence at a time. But there is money that is generated by my channel through ad revenue. I don't keep any of that money. That money gets paid to me. So if you're a creator, you get a payment from AdSense every time your channel earns £60 in AdSense money. So I usually get like 2-3 payments a year. So that comes to my bank account. It is a bank account that I hold, but it's a separate one that's marked YouTube, and all of the money goes into there, and then at the end of the year I will donate it to our charity of choice. So last year we fundraised for Mind, who are a mental health charity here in the UK. This year we picked Book Trust, who again a UK based charity, and they work to make sure that kids that need books, that don't have books, have access to books basically. And as someone who's a huge book nerd, book lover, hello, and a parent and also a teacher, you might, you coming up? Oh, so vocal. Hi. No? Okay, bye-bye. Literacy is really super important to me. So yeah, I really believe in the Book Trust message, and they are our channel charity choice of the year. That was hard to say. So last year we fundraised in total £300 for Mind, which I was incredibly excited about and incredibly proud of. At this point in the year already, this channel has raised £500 for Book Trust, and that will go to them at the end of the year. So that is 100% of my AdSense. It's also 50% or at least 50% of any paid content that I have, and I also donate myself £1 per book that I'm reading. So that's where the money comes from. And we will see what we can come up with by the end of the year. I have also, at the time of filming this, and again if you're watching this later in the year it won't be active anymore, but August is my birthday month, and as I did last year I have launched a Just Giving page, which will be linked in the description, and I'm hoping, like, there's no pressure at all for anyone to donate money or spend money or anything like that, but if you guys are wanting to celebrate my birthday with me, I would love it if we could raise a bit more money for Book Trust, because they are our charity of choice this year. So yeah, that is that really. And if there are any charities that you think we should consider for our charity for next year, drop me a comment on this video and let me know. I always ask at the end of each year, who should we fundraise for next year, and I very much want to make sure you guys are involved in that. Okay, so let's do some quick Q&As. So the lovely Rosebud said, I've gathered that you teach English/literature, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about your teaching. How long have you been teaching, and what is the age range that you have, and anything else you feel comfortable sharing about the topic? Okay, so I have some videos on teaching and my teaching journey. So I've got the one where I told you guys I was going to become a teacher, because I only became a teacher 3 years ago. And I've got the how I survived my PGCE. So I'll link those in the description in case people are interested. So I decided in my infinite wisdom when I turned 30 that I suddenly wanted to be an English teacher. I have a background in property management, so nothing to do with teaching. But like I said, I'm a huge book nerd, and I have my undergrad degree and my master's degree are both to do with English and English literature. And I think I just got to a point where I felt like the job that I was doing was fine, but it wasn't very fulfilling. I didn't feel like I was really doing anything that was really contributing anything, and I just wanted to do something that had more of a positive impact on people. And so after a lot of soul searching and talking to my husband and researching and all that kind of stuff, I decided that I was going to apply to become an English teacher. So here in the UK, you're either a primary school teacher, so from when they are 4, I think, up to the age of 11, or you're a secondary school teacher, which is 11 to 16. And then obviously you can also teach college and university as well, but that's separate. I decided that I wanted to become a secondary school teacher, having gone into a primary school and into a secondary school, to have a kind of look around and see how I felt about things. I was very rapidly came to the conclusion that I am not a primary school teacher. I think primary school teachers are actual superheroes. But yeah, secondary school felt like a good fit for me. English is obviously my area of expertise, and so it was a natural fit to become an English teacher. However, I am also dyslexic and dyspraxic, and I have dyscalculia. So dyscalculia is where it simplifies it, but it's basically dyslexia with numbers, which I didn't know until I had started my teacher training. And again, I'll leave a link to a video where I talked about being diagnosed and what it means, and can you be a dyslexic English teacher? Yes, you can. It's harder, but you can do it, and all of that stuff. So I don't want to repeat myself too much, so I will link that in the description for those that are interested. But I have dyscalculia, so I find maths really, really hard. And at the time that I very first applied, which was 2018 to start in 2019, the English government, the British government, said that anyone that wanted to become a teacher of any subject had to pass a maths test. I have my GCSE in maths, which I got after about 3 or 4 retakes. I did get there eventually. But this maths test that the government had set for all teachers, I just could not pass. I sat it 3 or 4 times. I got close, but I hadn't passed it. And then it got to a point where I couldn't give my notice for my current job and start the teacher training in September, and it was all just getting too close, so I withdrew. And then about a month after that, the government announced that they were dropping the maths and English tests for people who wanted to be teachers for the following year. So it's like, right, okay. So I reapplied at the end of 2019 and was accepted into the PGC program, which is the teacher training program here in the UK, in January of 2020. You can see where this is headed, can't you? I told my boss in February of 2020 that I would be leaving in August, because I was going to finish in August, have a couple of weeks off, and then go into teacher training in September. And then obviously March 2020 arrived and we went into a pandemic. So I was very fortunate to work all the way through the pandemic because I was a property manager. I was considered an essential or key worker. Worked all the way through that time. I have vlogs of that time if you're interested in that. I won't talk too much about it because I know people find it stressful. And then I decided, after much soul searching and speaking to my husband, I decided what I would do is retrain to be a teacher, which is incredibly stressful anyway, during a global pandemic, because what could possibly go wrong there? So yeah, I became a teacher during COVID, which is a very, very weird time, but I don't regret it. And teaching is incredibly hard. It is all-consuming. The pressure is intense. Everybody thinks you're wrong. You're pulled in 5,000 different directions all the time, but it is also the best thing I've ever done. I feel like I have found my place, and I feel like this sounds like really grand or whatever, but it genuinely feels like I found what I was supposed to do. So yeah, teaching is hard work, and I am very upfront about that. I talk about it. I try not to talk about it too much because I know that people come for book content, not teacher stuff. But obviously when I'm vlogging and stuff, it's part of my life and my daily routine and all that kind of stuff. So it does crop up. I'm very, very careful and never ever vlog at school or anything like that, because that's just really dodgy territory and not something I would do. But the subject of school comes up every so often in my content. So yeah, so that was kind of my journey into teaching. I teach here in the UK, literature and language are 2 separate subjects. So the 2 separate exams that the kids sit, and 2 separate qualifications at the end, but they're taught under the one umbrella of just English. So I teach both sides. Like I said, I'm a massive book nerd. I love my job. I love getting to spend time with teenagers. It's never dull. No 2 days are the same. No 2 hours are the same. And yeah, it's definitely a big part of my life. So I hope that answers that question. Then Sean said, love your channel. Thank you. That was nice. With a busy working week and busy home life, how do you fit in your reading? I know you have your set daily page goal. Do you do that as soon as you get home? Okay, so yes, I have a very, very busy work life and a very busy home life with my husband and Charlie and the cats and our wider family and our friends and all of that stuff. What I would say is I am very, very, very much looked after by my husband at home. He's incredible. He does, during term time, he cooks all the meals in the evenings during the week. I cook at weekends, although even sometimes I don't even manage to do that. He is the one that very much holds me together and scrapes me up off the floor. So I wouldn't be able to manage without him. But reading for me is vital. I have to read. It's a bit like, where they say, I think is it whales or sharks or something? If they stop moving, they die. If I stop reading, I die. That sounds super dramatic. But for me, reading is the equivalent for other people of going to the gym or meditating or watching TV in the evenings. I don't really watch that much TV. The only stuff I really watch is YouTube and the occasional series that Gary and I get into. But I read in the evening. So I don't read at the start of the day. I tried that, doesn't work. I've got too many other things kind of buzzing around my head. And we're talking about term time here. Holidays is totally different. I just read at all opportunity. But during the working week, I read. So I get home, I have either a shower or bath, depending on how I'm feeling, get into my pajamas. Gary makes dinner, we eat, and then I sit on the sofa and I read. And I do go to bed early, which you'll know if you follow me on Instagram. It's a running joke of how early I go to bed during term time. But because I am a consistent reader, I read quickly, and I aim to read about 150 pages a day if I can, but I try and do a minimum of 100. And I've built up from 50 a day to that point. It didn't happen overnight, but for me it just centers me, it settles me. If you stick around long enough, you'll hear me talk about my mental health as well. I live with generalized anxiety disorder and I have occasional bouts of depression as well, and reading helps me manage that, because you have to focus on what's on the page, not what's buzzing around your head. And for me, yeah, it's absolutely crucial. So yeah, I do read every day. I try and aim for about 150 pages a day, which you guys will know if you've watched my wrap-ups, because I always say at the end of those, like, my average page count for the month, for each day in the month, and I need about 150 pages a month to hit my reading goal for the year. But I try and do a minimum of 100 pages, and that amount can also be divided between physical pages and audiobooks, because I always have an audiobook on the go. I love Scribd. I'll leave the link in the description for Scribd. I'm really bad at promoting it, and this isn't like a me thing, everyone has this, but I think if you use my link, I think you get 2 months free and I get a month free, and I'm rubbish at telling people about it. So if you're interested in audiobooks, I'll link that in the description. So yeah, I also listen to audiobooks on the way to work. I don't listen to much music because I'm usually listening to an audiobook. So yeah, that's pretty much how I do it. It's the secret to it is that I have no other hobbies. It's just books and reading. So there we go. Okay, then I've already talked about the book stuff. And then N. Garamond said, were you always an avid reader since childhood, or did you pick it up more seriously later in life? And has your relationship with books changed a lot over the years? I've always been a huge reader. Like, you know how families have like family lore that kind of grows up around people? I've always been known as the reader. And I don't think my relationships with books has really changed. What I've read has changed, obviously, and I want to do a video talking about that soon. But I have always just been a huge reader. There is just something about being able to sit down and open a book or turn on an audiobook and just disappear into the pages of that book that's just really powerful for me. And it's just something I've always done. You know, like some people are like naturally sporty or like naturally into playing chess or whatever. For me, it's always been reading. So there we go. Okay, so those were the questions that you guys asked, because I put a little community tab thing up. And then we're going to talk about future plans, because there is some really exciting stuff coming up. So as I said, this channel has been really growing lately, so thank you for that, because I just massively appreciate it. Every single time I get a new subscriber, I'm like, oh, someone new subscribed. Even though my channel is 5 years old, like, that doesn't get old, that part of it. I love it when somebody else joins us. So at the time of filming this, we're about 50 or so people away from 3,500 subscribers, which is like the next milestone. So when we get to that point, I will do a full sit-down Q&A. I'll answer all of your questions if that's what you guys want. I might not even get any questions, but that's what I would like to do. If we get to 4,000 subscribers, because again, it just feels presumptive that people will want to join the channel. And I just want to make it really clear, like, for me, the channel number is not a big deal. It's not interesting. What I thrive on is the comments from you guys, the conversations we have, you guys watching and liking, you know, chatting to me on Instagram and Twitter. All of that stuff is what I really love. But obviously there is a certain like pressure to hit certain milestones, which comes mostly from YouTube, like really not from me. But if we get to 4,000 subscribers, I would like to do another giveaway, because that's what I've done at 1, 2 and 3,000 subscribers. So we'll do it again for 4. And then I thought I'd release some cheeky merch come the end of the year, if that's what you guys want. So my lovely friend Chloe at Chloe Reads Books recently released her own bookmarks, and I was like, that's so cool. Also, I bought some, which you'll have seen in my July wrap up if you watch that. So I'll link her order form in the description in case you're interested, because they're really good quality and they're really fun. And I watched her do it and I was like, that's so cool. And then I was like, I would quite like some What Victoria Read merch. So I thought that's what we do, maybe to celebrate the 5th anniversary of the channel, is to release some merch. So I was thinking of doing some bookmarks, and I've got like 3 or 4 designs already in mind for that. So let me know if you'd be interested. But then is there other merch stuff that you would like from me? Like, should I do mugs, or like, might be cool to do like hoodies or jumpers or something. But again, I don't want to get too overexcited, because 1, if you guys aren't interested, there's no point. And 2, I will obviously have to bankroll it. And this is also, again, leading back to the charity channel stuff. I would not make any money from it. So I'd have to obviously pay initially to get stock for you guys to buy from me. I'm assuming that's how it works. You can tell I've really not looked into this at all yet. Chloe, if you're watching this, there are probably questions coming your way from me. So yeah, I would have to get stock in the first place, and then you guys would buy it from me. And I just want to make it really clear, if we do it, I will obviously make a proper announcement video and show you designs and stuff, but I would not be taking any money from it. Any kind of profit that we make would just go straight into the charity pot, and then we donate that to Book Trust. So just to be clear, this is not a money making scheme from me. I just think it might be cool, but maybe I'm the only one. So let me know what you think. And then the last thing is, we're getting some new channel art. At the time of filming it, it's not quite ready yet, which is entirely my fault because I have been very indecisive through this whole process. But the wonderful, wonderful Amy from Nonfiction Feminist is a graphic designer. She designed my current channel art, which has Jack and the channel name and a stack of books, which is amazing because I only had Jack at the time. But she did that for me. She did that completely for free. She was starting out and she was like, hey, can I design some channel art for you? I was like, yes, you can. She also did Hilary at Melted Books channel art, which I also love. And then I made some passing comment, I think on Instagram, about how my channel art only has one of my fur babies on it. And she messaged me and she was like, oh, should we redo it? And she's now a fully fledged, like, working graphic designer who charges people for her time, as she should. And I was like, I don't have any money with which to pay you. And we were talking about what I wanted it for, and I was like, I want to do bookmarks, and it might be cool to have some fresh channel art for like my channel's 5th birthday. And she was, and you know, explained that I would do it as a charity, as part of the charity stuff. And she very kindly and incredibly has donated her time for free and her skills. So there will be new channel art coming. I haven't decided yet. I mean, it's not ready yet because I've been faffing around. It's been such a really fun, cool experience as well, and she's just ridiculously talented. I will say like one thing and she'll take it and run with it and turn it into something incredible. I am not at all artistic, like I could never have done this by myself. So I'm unsure yet, once it's ready, how and when I'm going to launch the new channel art, because I feel like it needs to be celebrated because she's worked so hard on it. But that will be coming soon, so if you've got any ideas on how I could launch it, let me know. And yeah, that will feature on at least one of the designs for bookmarks. And like I said, I've got like 3 or 4 ideas in my little head. Whether or not I can actually make those happen, I don't know, but at least one will be properly designed by Amy, and will look really, really great. I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. Weirdly, as I sat down to film this, I felt really nervous, and hopefully that's not come across too much. Usually when I sit down and do chatty videos, I'm doing a tag or a TBR or recommending books in a certain genre or whatever, but it's rare that I just sit down and just chat kind of freeform to you guys. As you've probably noticed, I don't script my videos. I did write a little list today of things I wanted to talk about just because I didn't want to get up and think, oh, I should have said that. I don't edit really, except for the beginning and end of clips. I'm just me, I'm just having a chat, and hopefully you guys enjoy that. So yeah, let me know what merch you want or would be interested in. How should we launch the new channel art? I realise that most people just put it up on their channel and it's no big deal, but I'm really excited about it. And any other thoughts you've got on how we could celebrate 5 years, because like I said, it's in November. I think it's the start of November. I'm terrible at remembering dates, but I feel like it's like the start of November. How we should celebrate 5 years. Maybe we'll do a live show or something. And yeah, thanks for being here, and thanks for sticking around. If you have been here for ages, I really appreciate all of you. I think that's the end of the video. So if you got to this point in the video, leave me some paw prints, like the little black paw prints emojis, because the cat interrupted this video. As you guys knew, she probably would at some point. Please subscribe if you would like more of this chaos, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks everyone. Bye.